Hello and welcome to Crafty Carol's Christmas Countdown Week 5. Last week I showed you how to make little packs of note cards and envelopes to make as gifts. This week we're making the folder box to put them in. So these are the folder boxes I've done already. So this is for my Pampered Pet set, this for my Chick set, and the folder box opens there and we have a place to put the envelopes on one side and a little box to put the cards in on the other, and it all ties beautifully with ribbon. So I'm going to show you how to make those today. So I'm going to make them for my colour and contour set that I made last week on the video. So what bits do you need? I've prepared most of these beforehand because you don't want to see me doing things like scoring because it's boring. So this is the outside bit for the folder, and this measures 9 by 5 3/4 inches, and it's scored at 4 1/4 and 4 3/4 inches. Then the other bits for the front, we need the panel to go on the front, and this panel is 5 1/2 inches by 4 inches. And the coloured panel to go on front of that, or the white panel with the coloured image to go on that, is 5 inches by 3 1/2 inches. And I've already stamped and part coloured it just to save a little bit of time. Then the box for the card that fits on the inside of the folder, that measures 8 1/2 inches by 3 inches deep, and you want to score it at 3 5/8 inches, 4 inches, 7 5/8 inches and 8 inches, and then on one of the long sides you want to score at 3/8 of an inch. Now I've already trimmed this box to show, not very well. I'll just repeat this bit because that's not quite right. I haven't gone quite into the corner properly there we go. So what I've done is on each of these long bits here I've trimmed up to the first score line here. So I hope you can see I've just notched those because it makes it easier to do. Same with the end flap, I've notched it. And then it's a matter of forming the box by sticking the bits together, which I'm going to do now. Just for the rest of the pieces, we need one bit for the to hold the envelopes, and that piece is 6 1/4 inches long by approximately 1 1/4 inches, 3 centimetres, something like that wide. The width isn't as important, and you score each end at 3/8 of an inch and at 1/2 an inch. So it gives you a little narrow score line there. Hope you can see that, but not sure. But anyway, that's where you score that one, because you're going to fold that in very carefully on both of those folds, and it's just a little bit fiddly, but it shows if you can see that. Hopefully you can. Let me just get that fold right too. So I'm just going to use my fingers instead of my bone folder because it's easier to hold up. And you see how that just forms a little. It's just enough to hold the envelopes, so that at both ends. I'm going to stick that on the front. So let's start putting the box together. The other thing you need is about 20 inches worth of ribbon that's going to match. Oh, and I also am decorating the box. I've actually used a little bit of coloured card as well on this one. I didn't on the others, but the white piece here is 3 inches by 2 inches, and I made this just 3/8 of an inch bigger all the way round, if you want to have a layer, that is. So I've already coloured that bit, so let me finish colouring this. I thought I'd just show you how we use our beautiful blends. And I've just got the leaves to do, so I'm using the lighter colour first, and I'm using the thin end of the blend because these are quite narrow leaves, and I'm going to colour those in. This colour and contour set, absolutely beautiful, but it doesn't, as you see, it's a sort of sketchy set, so it doesn't complete the leaves. So it's up to you where you want to bother colouring them. It doesn't really matter, so I'm going to put just a little bit of darker on the edge of the leaf there. And on this one, just to give a little bit of shading. And you can blend these in with the blender pen, but to be honest, I find if you do them fresh like that and just leave them, they blend in beautifully. Anyway, so those are my coloured bits done. Little tip, stamp the front of your card and prepare it before you prepare the rest of the folder, because we're going to round the edges. If you can see on the ones I've already done, we're rounding these edges just just because it's a little bit neater and it actually feels better when you're touching it. There's no sharp edges to dig into anyone. But do that first, because if you make a mistake, you have got your reverse side if you need, obviously before you colour. So if your stamping doesn't go right, you've got a reverse side. So don't do your corners until you've finished your image. So once we've done our image, we can round the corners, and we're just rounding the 2 corners that are going to go towards the open bit of the cards. Same on the sheet there. And I'm also going to round all 4 corners on my main piece. Wonder how loudly the banging comes on the video. It seems pretty loud here. Oops, let's just do that one again. There we go. It didn't come off properly. That's okay. I can just trim that. I think my punch needs emptying. It's obviously full. I shall do that in a minute. Okay, so now we're just going to fold and burnish the folds on here. And as we're folding over, I want to make sure it lines up beautifully, which it should do if we're using the edge of the scoreboard or your trimmer to do that scoring. And the same with the other side. Make sure it lines up properly, and then I'm just going to burnish it very quickly. So that's our folder. That's all ready. So we can combine that by just sticking these panels on. Oh, before we put the panels on, I nearly made the mistake I was going to advise you not to make. Do not stick your panels on before you put your ribbon on. So to do the ribbon, I'm using my base here, and I'm just going to line this up so that the centre is roughly on this thick back line here, or any straight edge. And then I'm going to put some tear and tape, if I can get it, which is roughly the right width, so that it lines up with that line. So I've got my edges straight, so I know that if I put this on here, it's going to be in a straight line with the edge of there. And I'll do the same the other side. And this just holds the tape in position, holds the ribbon in position so that it doesn't come off. So there's my tape on. So now I can place my ribbon over there. Fold that edge in. Now to put the ribbon on, I just basically roughly fold it in half. So I find the middle, and the middle goes in the middle of my card, and then I can just stick my ribbon down each side here. There we go. Now I can put the panels on the front. So don't make that mistake. Do make sure, which way round if I cut that card that way? Do make sure that you stick your ribbon on first. There's a big tip. So I'm just going to very quickly show some Tombow on here. Then line that up. Make sure the edge is roughly the same all round. There we go. You can adjust these sizes if you want. Actually, on some of the ones I've done already, I have adjusted it. With some of them, I've just done a nice coloured panel there on a very contrasting colour instead of a toning colour, which I've done with this one. And on some, I've actually done a little frame instead of just another white piece on top. So it's up to you. I've got the one with the frame to show you, but that doesn't matter. So there is the outside of your folder ready. Then we need to move on to getting the next bits. So the first thing I'm going to do is stick on my panel to the front of my box. So I've done this double layered. As I say, you can just have a single layer, which I've done on the other ones. Just depends on the colour scheme you're using, I suppose, and what you feel like at the time, which is what I often do. Stamping is how I feel like it at the time. So that's my front, and I want the front panel to be the one with the tab at the side, and there's a reason for that, which I'll show you as I start to form the box. So to make the box, I'm going to stick these down to the back layer. I want some, hang on, don't want it on that side at all. I want the glue on this side. I'll show you why in a second. So I'm going to stick these side bits to the back one first, because I want this one to fold down. This should be the top layer. Okay, because it looks a lot neater. Otherwise I would have a seam at the front of my box, which I don't want. Come on, Tombo. There we go. I'm just going to prepare. That's going to be my front layer. So you might want to do this slightly more, in slightly more stages than I'm doing it here. Now, the reason I've put the Tombow on this side is that I actually want the seam for this to come round the back. Let me just stick that layer down there. I want this to come around the back because then it'll be hidden. If I put this inside the box, then it could potentially catch on the cards as I put them in. So I want it hidden at the back. You see that? Doesn't matter I've got glue on it because I'm going to stick it down in a minute anyway. So then I'm going to stick these bits down and stick that over the top. And there is my box. So now I'm going to use my bone folder just to press everything down and make sure it's stuck. Stick that back bit too. And there is my box. And you can see how the fold is at the front, so the join is at the back. This is going to be stuck to my folder so I don't see it. So that's how I recommend you put these together. So then it is just a matter of sticking this. Oh, fingers and thumbs today, dropping everything. I'm going to put glue all over the back of the box. And I'm going to stick it just up from the bottom, about there. And again, I've lost my bone folder. I'm just going to use that inside to press down to make sure it's stuck down well. So that's the box for the cards stuck to the back. Then on here, I want to put, I'm going to use tape actually. I'm going to use tear and tape rather than Tombow. It doesn't really matter, but I just think it's a little bit easier to use tape. So I'm going to put tape on each of the end tabs. And then lift that off, again having bent these so that the tabs are going to bend nicely. And then this is where the best way I've found is to go roughly in the middle and put the second, you can see this is the second score line against the near the very edge of your box and press down. And then it'll fold over just inside. And we can stick the top down, so just get that nice and straightish. And press this down. And there we have the bit for the envelopes. And there is our folder. So all that remains is that I can put my cards in the box. And I can put my envelopes, suitably decorated of course, in my envelope holder. There we go. And that just fits neatly so they don't move around very much. That's why it's important to get that measurement just right on the envelope holder. And those fit beautifully in the box as well. And then I can tie that up. And there we have another gift that will be going out to one of my friends. Hopefully not a crafting friend that already has seen it now. I'll better tie a bow. Hopefully it'll go out to somebody who hasn't seen it yet. If they have, well, never mind. It'll still be a surprise by the time Christmas comes, to be honest. But why is it that when you're doing a video and you're trying to be quick, you can't do a bow? Never mind, I'll fiddle with it later, but you get the idea. There's my bow. Oh, that's horrible. Anyway. I'll sort that out later, but here is the final folder. So I've now got 3 of these. I've actually got 4. These are the ones I've done so far, plus the other one that's over on the other side of the room, so I won't bother going to get it. So I think you'll agree these make lovely presents for people. So not necessarily a Christmas front, but one that will make lovely presents. Enjoy making your folders for your gift cards. See you next week.